I can't believe what I just discovered. Let me ask you something. Have you ever daydreamed about being completely alone? Like, what if you were the last human alive on Earth? Would it be paradise, or would it be terrifying? Stick with me, because by the end of this video, you might have a completely different opinion. Close your eyes for a moment, not if you're driving, of course. But imagine this. You wake up one morning and all the humans on Earth have vanished. Sounds peaceful at first, doesn't it? No noisy neighbors, no traffic jams, no endless Zoom calls. It's just you and the entire planet. But keep listening, because this hypothetical what-if scenario gets really wild when you start peeling back the layers. Let's start with the very first moments of realization. Day 1. You wake up. No phone notifications, no morning chaos outside your window, absolute silence. Strange, right? You decide to text a friend or call your family, but nobody responds. You step out onto the street, and it hits you. Cars are abandoned in the middle of the road. Buildings are completely empty. There's no Wi-Fi, no social media, and most importantly, absolutely no other human life. Feel the chill down your spine yet? Now, within the first week, you might think, cool, no rules. I can do whatever I want. And you'd be right. You could walk into your local supermarket and grab whatever food you like. But wait, much of that food has an expiration date. Fresh produce? Useless in a week or so. Refrigerated items? Forget about it. Without people maintaining essential services like electricity, everything in your fridge would spoil in days. You'd have to quickly switch to canned goods and shelf-stable items. But that's just basic survival. What about shelter? Well, without anyone running maintenance crews, buildings would start to decay faster than you think. Pesky things like water damage, weather changes, and even wildlife taking over would make urban structures less safe over time. So you'd better be handy with some tools, and fast. Pulling knowledge from survival books and the internet while it's still up would be absolutely critical. But even internet servers would eventually go down. Once that happens, goodbye YouTube tutorials. Let's extend the timeline a bit. After a month, you've probably settled into a routine. Maybe you've raided some libraries, remember those? And started reading books to occupy your time. You'll start to depend on things humans took for granted. Clean water and stable weather. Catching fresh water for drinking could be as simple as collecting rainwater, but untreated water will make you sick. Plus, managing fires for heat and cooking would take up a lot of your time. Want to travel to new places? Better grab an old gas-fueled car. Electric ones would no longer charge. Now here's a huge question. What about companionship? The human brain is psychologically wired to crave interaction with others. After all, that's why we chat for hours, spend time with family, or even talk to our pets. By month 2, loneliness might set in with a vengeance. Social isolation can cause hallucinations, severe depression, and even a drop in IQ. You're essentially playing a psychological survival game. Can you keep your mind intact without another human to lean on? One solution could be making friends with animals. Imagine befriending a dog, a fox, or even a wolf. After all, humanity originally tamed wolves to create dogs centuries ago. You could restart this ancient pact with nature. Okay, fast forward to a year into this bizarre what-if. By now, Earth will start reclaiming its territory. Roads will crack as weeds and trees shoot up from beneath. Wildlife populations might explode without human interference. Bears, deer, and packs of wolves could roam freely in once crowded city streets. Insects might take over homes. And think about it. How would humanity's absence affect the planet overall? You've probably read about how nature flourished during pandemic lockdowns. Imagine that on a global scale. Cleaner air, clearer rivers, and lush green landscapes would take over. In a way, you might be overwhelmed not by the decay of your own survival environment, but by the sheer beauty of Earth, healing itself. But let's dig even deeper. This scenario gives us an incredible thought experiment about time itself. Without humans, society's inventions, clocks, calendars, schedules, become meaningless. Would you even keep track of the days? Sunrise and sunset would dictate your activities. Seasons would mark time better than any man-made calendar. And without new technology being invented or infrastructure being repaired, humanity's accomplishments would slowly fade into history. Suddenly, you start reaching the philosophical questions, like, what legacy does humankind leave if no one is there to remember it? Maybe you'd feel compelled to write a book or carve symbols on stone, so some alien visitor millions of years in the future might know humanity existed. Or maybe, in a weird twist, this is the fresh start Earth needs, a chance to exist without human dominance. And let's not underestimate survival science. Could you eventually learn to farm sustainably, build small shelters, or even generate simple electricity? People gave up their hunter-gatherer roots thousands of years ago. Would you figure them out again? Hold on, let's throw a curveball into our thought experiment. What if, while exploring a deserted city, you stumbled upon clues indicating aliens were behind the disappearance of humanity? Imagine walking through a science lab and discovering advanced, alien-made machinery, diagrams, or written notes suggesting humanity was collected for study. Would you try to reach out to them? Would you search for your friends and family who might still exist, just not on Earth? Or would you hide, fully embracing life as a modern Robinson Crusoe on a deserted planet? And speaking of extraterrestrials, let's take it even further. If no one's stopping you from playing with Earth's abandoned tech, could you figure out space travel? In theory, humanity has left enough blueprints behind to replicate simple rocketry. But executing that by yourself would probably take a lifetime, provided you could even survive that long. After all, one simple injury could become a massive threat. Medicine would be harder to find and impossible to restock. Say hello to some good old-fashioned herbal remedies from nature if you know where and how to look for them. Eventually, though, you'd have to ask yourself, is there a purpose to my survival? Some might see it as a curse, endless days with no connection, no understanding of why this happened, and no hope for change. Others might see it as their moment to truly connect with the natural world, master ancient survival techniques, and explore Earth in ways never before possible. Ultimately, the story of the last human alive depends on what kind of person you are. Would you see beauty in the silence, or would it drive you to despair? Would you fight to leave a mark on the world, or just let it fade into obscurity? The answer to these questions might just tell you a lot about who you really are. So, there's your what if for the day. What if you were the last human on Earth? Would you thrive in chaos, or would you crumble under solitude? Let me know what you think in the comments below, and don't forget to like and follow for more mind-bending content.